Greetings, wise ones. This is Melissa from 8th House Wisdom, and I am back to leave the 5th installment of the Universal Laws series on my IGTV and YouTube channels. And today we're going to be talking about the law of increase and relating it to many of the things that are happening in our current environment. Especially on a geopolitical and racial standpoint. So, to get started, I'm going to read what the law of increase states. And this information comes from Bob Proctor at the Proctor Gallagher Institute. And so the law of increase is about being happy and being grateful for what we have now. At the same time, we need to have faith that we can grow and have more of it. The key to the law of increase is to feel grateful, to praise for the good things and amplify the positive things that we have in life. And I would say that there is no time like the present for us to be thinking about focusing on the things that we want to see amplified and working really diligently to withdraw and retract any of our energy from things that we don't want to move forward. I'm recording this video at the end of May, and this has been a really challenging time for Black people. As a nation, many states are implementing their phase 1 reopening of businesses after we've been locked away in the house for almost 2 months. So there's a resurgence that you kind of expect in spring. And there's an increase in warm weather that really is motivating people to get outside. Yet, in the news and during this period of time, even active in a global pandemic, we have had continued strings of racially motivated atrocities leveraged at Black people. And the ones that made it in the news made it there by large part because the people featured in those stories died. They died, and we should all mourn the loss of human life. But I think it's important to note that that really only scratches the surface, because there's so many other times when situations like that, or very similar to the ones that we've identified in the news currently, occur. Yet the person doesn't die. And so it's just such an ongoing thing. And that has led to rioting across multiple cities, and a feeling of deep grief, loss, and a sense of destabilization. And it's interesting to think about and apply the law of increase, because for the Black community of the United States, which makes up roughly about 17% of the overall population, there's been an onslaught and steady increase since our introduction into this country of racial atrocities and difficulties that have felt like a steady increase that never lets up. And so, at a point, focusing on those things, the Black community is going to be too full, and they're going to feel the need to share that level of increase with others, so that they can decrease their fullness in that space and share the roles and responsibilities with others. Now, I'm not here to talk about this from a moral perspective. Because no, I don't agree with looting, but I absolutely and completely understand and overstand why my people would be doing it. The level of rage, anger, and combined with the activation of intergenerational trauma can present itself in a wide variety of ways. And considering we are looking at people who have been frontline workers, disproportionately affected by COVID-19, and while a community was playing their part and their role in being good American citizens and staying in the house where and when possible, you still had to deal with the war on racism, which you kind of hoped that a global pandemic would shut down. Yet instead, even during a time of great crisis for everybody in the country, bigots and racists still kill black people. Or call the police on them in Central Park, specifically using their white privilege as a weapon. And so I think as a community, many people just said, okay, well then, we've increased so much, we're going to cause a level of increase for others. That will share the understanding. That will help us to be able to get the appropriate kinds of responses that we're expecting and require for the loss of our lives, because Black Lives Matter. And like any other group, i.e., if Jewish people experienced or heard about another version of gas chambers or a camp existence right now, the level of sadness, despair, and irrationality that would be activated within them would be palpable for all of us, and in many respects for people who can look at things psychologically would be understood, because they have vowed to never allow that to happen again. And who wants to stand in the face of that kind of injustice? And I think that's what's at play here. It's like, who wants to stand in the face of this kinds of injustice on behalf of Black people? And it just keeps happening over and over again. And so there are a number of things that are increasing in our lives that I think we all need to make conscious choices about what alternative we want to see occur. And then spend some time in prayer, meditation, reflection over how to imbue those ideas and those concepts with the energy of the law increase, so that the positive outcomes that we want to see can come in and take over and eclipse the BS that we're dealing with. There are people who are extremely heartbroken, and it's hard. It's definitely hard for all of us to deal with. But I hope that at a time like this, when we turn on the news or see social media and see people screaming into the void, or we turn on the news and we see the riots and they scare us, or we turn on the news and we see yet another victimized person and we're scared, that we take those as an indication that, first and foremost, pain is a cosmic indicator to do something, and that we pause long enough to do some aspect of self-care that will allow us to respond out of a place of being the solution, so that what we focus on and magnify increases in a great fashion towards positivity, versus what we focus on magnifies all the things that we're all trying to clear from our lives, clear from our nervous system, clear from its current space of existence. And so, truly activating the law of increase does involve intense focus and gratitude, but the law can be activated without aspects of gratitude. Certain things are being focused on heavily, i.e. the media in a 24-hour news cycle, and aspects of that are increasing. They're not necessarily increasing it in great, they're not showing these 24-hour cycles with a feeling of gratefulness. Well, some are, because they're grateful for the ratings. But that's not going to be hard right now. Everybody's at home binge watching and doing what they need. But I'm saying that to say that as they increase the amount of media and content that is out there and available to all of us in these situations, we are simultaneously taking this in, and that energy is proliferating or increasing instances of what's being put out in physical form. So if you are feeling lost, if you're feeling stuck, if you are in a really difficult place right now, I implore you to consider aspects of the law of increase, and to, again, when you know what you don't want, you very clearly can identify on the other side what you do want. So ask yourself, from all the things that we have discovered as of recently, what it is that you don't want, and utilize that to create a list of things that you do want, and then focus your attention on that list. Lavish it, pray over it, meditate over it, repeat it, so that we can activate the law of increase towards positive, affirming, healing, and constructive options. That's my prayer for everyone. And the astrological energy of multiple planets in retrograde, Jupiter and Saturn and Venus, should all help us to review things and catapult forward. So that's my essential message to everybody for this installment. I'm going to sign off sending you lots of light, love, and healing, knowing that if we can all coalesce around a positive force, our collective energies can create the increase we are all looking for, which is an increase of happiness, gratitude, and peace. Until next time, see you all later, wise ones.